Welcome to Crones and Coffee with Lori and Kate, a podcast about spirituality, real, raw, and authentic, and lots of laughs. Hey, Kate.
Hey, Lori.
How's it going? Episode 4.
We're back.
Woo. So, how's it going?
It's going good. Things are going good. Things are moving. I wish I had something more interesting to talk about what I'm going to do this weekend, but I'm probably just going to be preparing for my event. I'm playing at the Wilton Folk Cafe on March 8th, so I don't know if this will be relevant by then, but
oh, nice.
I'm preparing for that all weekend by trying not to lose my voice. And
oh, cool. So talking is probably a good
oh
thing.
yeah, this is great.
Tell me about your event.
So Wilton Folk Cafe at the Second Congregational Church in Wilton. It's donation based. Starts at 7:30. Doors open at 7. It's 2 45-minute sets of me yodeling away in a microphone.
Nice.
And yeah, it'll be fun.
Do people have to sign up, or is it just
No.
Nice.
We get paid through a grant funded program that Wilton nonprofit puts together. So they actually host several Wilton Folk Cafes. I'm just one of the features.
Oh, cool.
So after me, there'll be a different folk musician coming through. Before me, there was 2 women. I forget what they played, but they had this really cool, like, crank toy that projected on the screen while they were telling stories. So
oh, cool.
they do really cool, unique, out-of-the-box performances, and it's usually at a local level. So I'm excited to be included. So that's what I'm getting ready for.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're my husband's going to get a tattoo at Victoria's place, Eye of Ethereal. She just moved to, what's the address? Do you know? Nashua.
Actually, I think the address, I can't remember the exact address, but it's right beneath the Riverwalk Cafe on Main Street.
All right, then she's done a couple of my tattoos now. I know she's done work for you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we're plugging you, Victoria.
We're going to plug Victoria here. I just was there on our way home from America's Stonehenge. We stopped by her shop because I wanted to show Erin. It's his first time seeing her place. So she did just move in. You and her both at the same time. Lori and Victoria both decided to up-level their entrepreneurial career experience and open their own storefronts, so to speak.
Yeah.
Victoria is primarily a tattoo shop, but have you seen her new space?
No, this will be this weekend, Saturday.
So you're going to
see her.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I'm excited because I watched her progress on the Facebook.
Yeah, and she, so the topic of this podcast is relevant to Victoria because I pitched to Lori, hey, we should talk about, I had a lot of fun talking about our shop, so why don't we immerse ourselves a little more in that experience for our listeners, because everybody sees the superficial level of what it's like to just walk in a storefront and greet the owner and the clerk or the shop girl and buy your things and leave, but it's like a whole world to us. It consumes us, and to give people insight into what it's like to run a shop, not just a shop, but one that's surrounded around spirituality and such sensitive topics might be interesting for listeners.
Yeah, sensitive topics.
Victoria is interesting because she is in that realm, and so to speak, because she obviously does tattoos, but she also now has enough room to have a storefront,
right?
And she now has enough room to read her tarot.
Sorry, I got excited when you started talking about her, because she does intuitive tattoo work, which is freaking amazing. And if you don't know what that is, go check it out on her website, her Facebook. She's on Instagram. I think she's on TikTok. But I think she does a reading, right? A tarot reading.
Yep. So you have a couple options. You can just go get a tattoo and she'll design a beautiful tattoo for you. Another option is something that it piqued my interest when she was coming to me and saying, what do you think of this service? Do you think this is crazy? What do you think of it? And she explained it to me, where she basically gives you a reading, probably anywhere between a half hour to an hour reading. I think she uses oracle cards.
Which that in and of itself is an amazing service.
And she's very good, yes. And she will draw you through her intuition, her perception of your reading, and you can just leave with that picture, but because she's a phenomenal tattoo artist, you can have it placed on your body. And she took it a step further. When I went and got my tattoo, I got a very beautiful piece on my back. And she not only was keen on sharing with me, you know, experiencing what it was like for me to have this image on me, but where on my body it was. She had a lot of knowledge about why you would want it on this part of your body, or why you're so drawn to it being there, and like the symbolism there with that. So she takes a very superficial thing, you know, which is a tattoo on your skin, but brings it to a whole nother level that I don't think I've ever seen a tattoo shop, at least around here, do.
Right.
So you're getting not just a beautiful piece of art, you're getting an entire experience with somebody who really cares.
And there's your plug, Victoria.
There it is. I have Ethereal, guys. Check her out. And to be honest with you, if you just want to see a cool shop, like,
yeah, she did really
man, she's really good at creating an environment. So check her out. It's a unique little spot underneath the Riverwalk in almost like a basement area. And she's got 3 rooms of delightful creativity going on there. And I hope you have fun this weekend with your husband.
Yeah. So I can't wait to see her shop. And actually, Victoria and I, because we were looking at the same time,
right.
we actually talked about a partnership and joining forces in the same building. Which I laugh because, I mean, we were both like really excited to like go into a partnership, but then as we talked more and more, like, I think it could have worked if we found a location that we both liked.
Right.
Which that didn't happen.
Right. For her, it was that the location she's at now is more ideal in comparison because it's right down the road from her house.
Absolutely. So, and that was one of her biggest things where Mystic Market was it was like a 40-minute drive for her, and me, I'm 3 minutes.
Right.
So I understood, you know, and I didn't want to not be here. So like I knew this was my spot.
Right.
And to see the decor here versus what she has, and both are beautiful in their own right.
I love it.
But I crack up because knowing we were going to, it's like a total yin and.
Well, I knew it would happen because
it's light and dark.
Yes,
right? And I'm not saying dark as in like
she's
evil.
more gothic. She's definitely more. She'll tell you straight to your face, and she's one of the few people I know too that likes gold and not silver.
Exactly.
She's very you know, she has an eclectic taste. I've had the thrill of going thrift shopping with her.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. But
I see the difference between like I'm light and airy here, and she's it's very dark.
Yes.
Like her walls are black.
Her walls are
all black with gold trim. It looks gorgeous online, and I can't wait to see it.
It's so funny. We can do this whole podcast about Victoria if we wanted. But I'm in there, and every time I go in there, she's done something different. You know, she's got like her taxidermy. She's got all these dark, real serious things, and then all her tattoo supply product, like if you look at her corner where she does her tattoos, all her supplies are in big, colorful cookie jars.
Oh, too funny.
And so she has this whole cookie jar collection that she keeps all her supplies in. She's got a sense of humor. Like you look around, it's very black and gothic, but her trash can is actually an oversized coffee cup.
Oh, that's awesome.
Everything's like very cartoony when it's not very serious.
Right,
so yes, definitely go check it out. She's probably going to end up with a waiting list in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Once people find her. Because she's like you. She moved into her space, you know, at the same time you moved into your space.
Yeah.
And so you both started like right before the holidays.
I think we had open house the same day because we couldn't go to each other's
and I was
house.
in Cape Cod, so I couldn't go.
Which brings me to the point. Let's talk about this since we're kind of talking about someone else's studio, about people like us. I think especially women-owned businesses, because, you know, let's face it, women-owned businesses, like that's a whole community in itself, right? We should be working together.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We should be.
I can get catty real quick, you know. I think we're all guilty of it. I'll raise my hand every once in a while. I let myself go there. I get jealous. It's usually jealousy that gets me there.
Right.
That's usually the carriage I take.
And we shouldn't.
No.
We really shouldn't. We should be empowering each other. our first 8 minutes of this podcast was about Victoria, and she's not sponsoring us or paying us to say all these things about her. we want to watch her grow and help her grow.
Well, it's exciting to see someone
it is
in your own, and I've known her since she was 16. So to see her grow from a kid to an adult doing this, when I was her age, I wasn't doing half the stuff she's doing now. So I'm inspired. She keeps me a fire lit under my butt.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, I better get my butt in gear,
Right. And, I hope to someday, collaborate with her in the studio, because she does do, divination. So I think that'd be fun to have her come in and, she can pass her cards out. I mean, it's about networking, right? And we want to connect with all these people that are like-minded, that can offer value to this community. Because, let's face it, there are challenges in owning a place like this.
Well, so for example, before you owned this place, I had Prayers of Nature, let's say 6 or 7 years. And I'm primarily an art studio. I can easily convince somebody I'm a storefront, but my location isn't very easy. There's some things there that, I wrote down the pros and cons of having my storefront. And one of the cons is lack of foot traffic, lack of awareness. No matter how much I scream online, people still aren't going to find me. So in you moving here to Mystic Market, you also offered for me to partner with you, which I found very intriguing and wanted to do it. But Erin's pretty comfy where we are,
right.
And that's fine. But in you having this space, it is helpful to me because now I can have my workshops here and I can get exposure here and still maintain my cozy little nook down by the river. So that is helpful to me. When you open, it wasn't, because we had a talk. You're like, I don't want to be your competitor, and just want to be very transparent. Right. In fact, I want you to partner with me, Kate. Why don't you come join me? And I'm like, you know what? How about I stay where I am and you flourish where you are, and I'll come scrape the cream off the top.
Well, and I don't know if you remember, but I had actually had a conversation with my husband before opening this place. I said, Kate's one of my best friends. And I want to talk to her about this, because if you had said, Lori, this is really going to hurt me if you open this place, I wouldn't have, Kate.
I know you wouldn't.
I wouldn't have opened here.
But that wouldn't have made me, deep down, that wouldn't have made me feel good. But
I value your friendship more than wanting to open a space that close to you.
I very much appreciate it.
I would have gone further if you had voiced no, that's really going to hurt me, because I didn't want to hurt our friendship. As much as I loved this space, I love you more.
Aww.
But no, in all seriousness, I would have not opened here if you said, "Oh God, no, don't please."
Well, I can tell you, obviously, my thought process. Whether you like it or not, you instantly get jealous. But then I observe that, and I'm like, well, no, she's offered for me to go with her, and then I'm like, who's stopping somebody else from opening a shop? What if Lori doesn't do it and somebody else decides a month later that they're going to do it, and I don't even know this person?
Right.
And now I'm in the same position I was in before, except now I don't know the individual.
Yeah.
So to me, I was like, you know what? This is just going to be good news for me. This is just going to be good for me.
That's a good perspective.
Well, I'd rather it be my friend.
Right.
I'd rather my friend, who I really care about and understand, and we just get along so well. Right. It just made more sense to want you as a, quote, competitor than someone I've never met or someone from the next town over, because there's no stopping somebody from opening one right down the street from me in Wilton, and that may happen someday, and I've already made my peace with it, and to figure out how instead we can, like you're saying, instead of compete, everybody's got a little different flavor, everybody's a little different. You come to my shop, and
we really aren't competition. You offer so many things
that
I don't offer.
Right. There's just we all have our strengths. We all have our strengths. And if you come to my shop, you're going to find a lot of flower products.
Right.
You're going to find a lot of handmade jewelry that you've never seen before and you'll never see again, because Erin makes it all by hand.
Yeah.
You'll probably get roped into a 20-minute conversation with me about something really obscure and fringe, you know, like this is just a weird, I definitely offer an experience at my shop, and same here at yours, and same at Victoria's, and the surrounding towns. There's numerous other shops that we could mention before we go down that rabbit hole. You know, we could just start rattling off all the places around us, but you know, who we're close to is where we start. So,
and I think we have to encourage, you know, people that offer these kind of metaphysical products, services, you know, to reach out to us, like, because we want to collaborate with people. We want to bring wellness to our community.
Right. Well, yeah, if it's what you really, as a healer, if it's what you really want to do, then yeah, holding hands, and that's how you do it.
Right,
you know?
Right. So, you know, being a healer and claiming to be a healer as, you know, and I'm not saying I'm a doctor, like I'm not that type of healer. I'm a healer of wellness, of spirit, of, you know, mindfulness, healing on a totally different level, right? With meditation and sound healing. I think that's a layer that we're missing in society. You know, people go to the gym, people try to eat better, but their mental health and their spiritual well-being is like nowhere. So I'm kind of offering those, that missing link, you know. And everyone that has walked through my doors, it's really, I think that's probably the thing I enjoy the most so far about owning this studio. I've only been open since November of 2023, but every single person that I have watched physically walk into my store, into my studio, they come in all like wound up and chaotic and crunched up at the shoulders, and I see them go, huh. Like I see the whole energy shift. And so many people have said that when they walked through the door, like, wow.
Yeah.
I feel like I just let everything go as soon as I walk through this door, because I come in the studio and every day I do a cleanse.
Right. Yeah.
That's how I start.
Yeah.
I take my shoes off. I put my backpack down. I put the music on. I light my incense or my Palo Santo, and I walk the perimeter of the studio. So as soon as you walk in, you're already getting that energetic. You're gonna vibrate good when you come here. and that's what I enjoy the most is watching. As soon as they walk over that threshold, it's like this magical, like, whoa.
I've learned over time that my storefront is very oftenly used as a means of escape. You know, people that now know where I am, they'll come down and they're like, I just need a minute. I just need a minute before I go home. You know, and like, I don't know if they're there to shop or not. All I know is that they're there to just, you know, because where I am
to
too,
decompress.
You wouldn't know what's in that building when you're standing outside the building.
Yeah.
When you look at the mill where I am, it just looks like a rundown mill. But when you step inside and you see like chandeliers hanging and like big flower mandalas on the wall and colorful clothing everywhere and crystals.
And it feels good in your space too.
It does.
Even though it's in an older building, it feels good.
Well, I'm right next to the river. Yeah. So right outside my window is the river.
Elemental water.
So there, yes. And underneath the floorboards is the basement, but typically the water will actually flow into the basement.
Whoa.
Because it's so close along the river. So there is this feeling of like renewable energy.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel stagnant in there at all. And it is a little weird. People don't, I'm definitely unexpected. I am the unexpected hidden gem.
You are the diamond in the rough.
Yeah. Hidden gem, I guess, is what they call it. Yeah. And so, yeah, people take a load off when they come in. They realize they're in a different space, you know, and if you got to be somewhere, you're probably going to be late because, you know, you get caught up in what's on the shelf, you know, and you're like me too. I'm always moving things around. Yeah. And that is one of the pros of having our own shops is creating an environment, setting it up for success, and then it actually working on people when they come through the door. It actually having the intended effect. Like, because
it validates like all your hard work, right?
Yeah, Erin and I, we travel a lot up and down the East Coast to art shows and festivals and music, concerts. And my favorite thing to do is to, when we're not working, is to get tucked away in those little downtown areas and find those little shops and find those. I just want to leave with a crystal or like a bone or like a charm or like I just want to have that experience with the shop owner talking about something, and I'm always observing and absorbing what each one has to offer and then trying to take those elements back home with me. So being a shop owner is a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun too. You get to curate your own experience for your clients.
Absolutely.
So that is a lot of fun.
And, here I offered the sound healing.
Yeah.
And we're actually sitting in the room doing this podcast called The Sound Lounge. And it's a vibrating bed.
Mm-hmm. You used to put a dime in that little hotel bed, right? Where it was shake, right? Not the same thing.
And you get to listen to music. There's a headset. You get to be in this warm, dark room, with the bed vibrating underneath you, in sync with the healing music. I have a blog about it on the website, mysticmarketnh.com. If you want to read about it, it's called Vibroacoustic Therapy.
Yep.
And
you're the only one offering that around here.
I'm almost positive I am. Yep. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because people come into my shop now, and we've been cross promoting each other. I've been getting a lot of chatter about you. And a woman came in my shop and it's like, have you heard of Mystic Market? And she goes, they have those machines. And this was when you first moved in, so I wasn't really sure what she was talking. I didn't know you invested in such a beautiful table, which I'm leaning against right now. And she kept talking about, no, there's these machines. Like it almost sounded like they were from outer space, the way she was talking about it. And she's like, oh, my girlfriends and I. She's like, it's the only one in the area. Like, she had looked into it to see like how many mile radius there is of someone in the area offering this kind of table service.
That's awesome.
Acoustic table therapy, whatever you call it. So
vibroacoustic therapy.
That's actually a great.
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah, definitely. You are different in that regard.
And people ask me, well, what does it do? And I really can't answer that because the effect is different for every single person that has done it. Has come out of that door with a different experience. I've had people come out crying because I have one that's specific for ancestral healing. Yeah. So they've just released, crying in a good way, not not in a like that was a terrible experience crying, but crying like they released so much emotion that they have.
People just need permission.
Yeah, they need permission to release. Yeah. I've had people come out saying that they experienced floating and they felt like they were still floating, even not being on the table. I've had people say, my head feels like it's vibrating.
It might be.
I've had people come in here, saying, I don't believe in any of this stuff, but I'm so stressed out. I need to try anything at this point. Nothing I've tried has helped. And I've actually had to come in here 10 minutes after the session was done to wake the person up. And now they're a believer.
Right.
The quote unquote, holy crap. That was the wildest thing I've ever experienced. So I mean, it's the level of, effects it has on people is profoundly different for everyone.
Tongues wagging, at least in my shop.
So and it's funny. I have a friend, Michelle, who I've been friends with since high school. She messaged me and she goes, "Holy crap, girl, you're famous." I'm like, "What?" She said, "I'm at a women's sacred circle up in Massachusetts, and people are freaking talking about you." I'm like, "Shut up!" So the word is getting out.
Yeah. I no doubt it would.
And it's weird to see, like, even on Facebook now, I'm in, other pagan groups and stuff, and people are tagging Mystic Market in the groups, and I'm like, oh my God, that's me. Yeah. They're tagging me. Like, I almost have imposter syndrome. Yes. Right? Because I can't believe I'm, like, they're talking about my place.
Yeah.
That really gets us excited, you guys, when you tag our businesses. So
tag
us, because
or mention us if you know really something makes sense.
Really helps small business owners. You know, I'm not saying just tag us, but you know, small businesses in general, we love when you tag us. You know, like companies like Coca-Cola, they don't give a crap. But when you tag our businesses, like I actually scream and like dance and stuff. I get excited. So you really make our days when you share our posts. And I know we may not say it all the time, but thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for sharing our posts, for tagging us, for talking about us. Because, you know, we don't have the marketing dollars like Coca-Cola to play TV commercials and be on the radio. And
heck, I can barely find time to even do. You put me to shame with the social media. I don't know how you even. I get so tired of it so fast.
I don't know how I do it either.
That's the thing with owning a shop. It's like I've never, you know, I have a high school diploma. I didn't go to school for business, nothing. But I've worked a lot of retail in my time on this planet, and I'm like, well, heck, I don't need to go to school for that, you know. So I've been weighing it. But when it comes down to like, you know, Aaron does all the accounting, you know, that's a huge, he started doing taxes in December. He's still finishing taxes, you know, because not only do we have our shop, we also have our music endeavors that we have an LLC for. So we're constantly like, you know, people walk in my shop and they see what looks like success, you know, but I'm definitely a queen of faking it till you make it, you know, like all that, everything, every product in there was bought up front with our own money.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't get any loans or grants to invest in merchandise. Everything's made by us or purchased by us up front. So yeah, you know, so the cons of owning your own shop, you know, and I would do a lot of field vending just to get out of the space and get on the grounds and network and just bring my products to people instead. And there's actually a whole nother level of vulnerability doing that, because now you got people in a state of mind where they're partying, they're having a good time, and they just want a deal and they want to hustle. I've had so many bad experiences at concerts of people trying to hustle me into deals and discounts. And it's like, I make these myself. I package them myself. I merchandise it myself. I packed it in the car to get, like, I just want to put a word to the wise to people. When you go to these fairs and these vending gigs, those people were there 4 hours before you even got there. They've been preparing weeks before you even thought about going. And, you know, don't hassle them. Maybe save that for the flea market or an antique shop. But crafters and handcrafters and even healers, you know, their services really should be paid in full. And, you know, that's one of my gripes. I for years I used to be like, oh, okay, I would give someone a discount, and then after about 3 years of it, I was like, why am I doing that? Why am I doing that?
I'm sure they don't ask Michael Jordan for a discount when they're buying their $200 sneakers.
You know, I actually created products with discounts built into their prices for those people. I'm like, this product will be this product is $12, but if they buy two, it's 2 for $20, and that's the deal that they're going to get for the day. Once they ask if there's, you know, that's it. I got something for you over here. You know, like it. You know, you know, and people questioning you where your products come from, how they're sourced, who made them, why they made them. You know, I get people want to know what they're buying. But at some point, it's like, can you just?
It's hard as a small business.
It is hard.
Owner. It is.
It's hard.
And you know, for anyone that's thinking about, you know, opening their own business, it's not as simple as just renting a building and opening the door. There were lots of things I learned that I had no clue that needed to be done.
Yeah, and you taught me some things because I'm part of an art mill. So some of the things that you experienced renting from your own building, where I'm renting a space, there were some differences there.
Like, I had no idea that I needed to contact the town. Because I registered the name with the state.
Right.
So I thought I was all set.
There you go.
I had no idea I had to notify the town.
Who in town? Like, what do you call the town clerk?
Yeah, I went down to the town clerk, and I forget what I had to do now.
You tell them, I have a storefront I opened. Is that
basically it? So, like, you have to file a paper. and signage. So I did it all backwards. So I opened, I got the whole studio set up. My other friend, Kate, came in here to check it out. And she said, "Did you already get the fire inspection?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
"Uh-oh."
The what?
Elemental fire? Yeah, I got elemental fire on my altar.
What was it called? The occupancy something or other. I forget now. And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
All the safety codes.
Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, you're supposed to call, the fire chief, and he's supposed to come inspect." And I'm like, "Oh my God, don't even tell me that," because at the time, my son was getting married and we were traveling to Oklahoma. I had 2 days before coming back, before I was opening November 1st open house. So I'm already blasting that we're having open house.
Right.
And I didn't contact the town. I didn't contact the fire department. So I'm like, holy crap. So I went down in person to the town.
Excuse me.
The ladies were super nice.
Nice.
And I was like, so yeah, I'm opening a business November 1st. And I was told that I needed to do this. So yeah. And I forget the ladies' names. I'm sorry. But the lady in the back who was kind of listening to my story, she's like, "Well, what kind of business is it?" So I tell her. The lady in the back was like, yeah, give me that paper. We need a place like that. So that was kind of cool. So they don't try to not let you open. Like,
of course, yeah.
They were so, happy for me, and they did everything that they could to, make sure that I could open November 1st. So now I have to call the fire guy, right? I forget his name too. I'm terrible with names. I'm sorry. The fire guy. I'm like, hey, I tell him the same thing. I'm like, so yeah, what can you do? And he's like, okay, so, well, if we can't get to you, you cannot open. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm like crying. Right. Literally, I said, I know you think like I'm over here crying like a girl now, but I'm like, my kid's getting married on my list and all these things. We're driving across country in an RV, trying to open a business. Yeah, poor timing on my part, but
you never can tell, though. You can never, plan around stuff.
Right,
you can plan and plan and plan and plan, and something still's going to come and bite you in the ass.
So, exactly. So, he's like, he was awesome, too. I wish I could remember their darn names, but fire guy in Milford, he says, take pictures, and he told me what to take pictures of. He's like, at least I can tell you, I could see things that I know for sure would fail you. You could maybe fix before I get there.
Right.
And I think he came here like October 29th, passed me, thankfully. Yeah. So I still was open for November 1st. But there was like 8 things he saw in the pictures that he's like, you got to do this, you got to do this. And things that you don't think of. Right. Like I needed to put 3-inch numbers on the front of the building.
People can see.
So and they have to be 3 inches.
Yeah.
I had to have a fire extinguisher and
visible
and tagged so that it was inspected, good to go. I had to have, fire alarms, carbon monoxide. So these are like the little things you don't...
We just had our sprinkler system. We get our sprinklers tested every year.
See, I don't have sprinklers in this building, but it's not my building.
Yeah.
So,
it
is what it is.
I just have to keep the doors open. Yeah. All that routine maintenance of owning a store is just not the fun part. The fun part is the customers and the events and the collaborations and...
But there's so much behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
But if you are thinking about opening a business, it isn't just, renting a building and opening the doors. Excuse me. And I actually had someone, a friend of mine who doesn't live in this area. They live in Kentucky. She said, so, what does it take to open a store like yours? Because she actually talked to me about like, franchise. And I said, I am not there yet.
Right.
But if you want to offer similar stuff, like I don't care, I can tell you. And I'm going to be honest, to open my doors, it cost me $21,000.
Yeah.
So, when people come in here and say, "Oh my God, I can't believe, that crystal's $50." Well, okay, dude, it cost me 21 grand to open the doors.
Well, yeah, and then you got the bags, you got the tissue paper, you got the POS system, you got all these other things, tables, displays, hangers, all the extra stuff that you need just to get your stuff on the walls. When Aaron and I moved downstairs, because we had a small studio space on the second floor of the mill, and we finally got to move downstairs, which was great because it was like 5 times the amount of space. We got all these awesome ideas of putting a wall in. Next thing you know, we sunk about $6 grand just in the move. And then maybe we've put about $6 to $10 grand, probably about the same amount of money you have over time.
Yeah.
That you put into one, because you just did it all at once. We kind of grew over time. So yeah, I could see how you could easily put.
Well, my biggest expense is what you're leaning on.
The sound spaceship.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of upfront investing, and like I said, we don't have a marketing budget. We don't have a product. Every time we buy wholesale, that's from our own savings.
Yep.
So if I am inspired by an artist and I've had numerous artists come in and show me their art, and consignment's cool, but as you know, that's accounting. Yeah. So if I consign, that I don't have any upfront costs, but now I have a lot of time.
Especially if you can't do math properly.
Cannot do math properly.
60-30
I cannot do it. She's never let me live it down. It's okay though.
So speaking of consignment,
business deals,
Kate's, some of her products are here at Mystic Market. Some of her mandalas.
Yes.
I have a beautiful big piece on the wall. Talk a little bit about those,
Yeah, right? I haven't even talked about the mandalas. So I got flower mandalas. I don't really talk about how they came to be.
And it's a great story.
It is. So basically what got us to buy the studio at the mill or rent from the studio was a pitch I gave my husband. I was going to the bead shop in town. It's no longer there, and getting beading supplies for jewelry making. And at the time, I had also discovered Aaron's mother's art. Aaron's mother had her master's in art. She was an art teacher. And she created a whole project called Flowers, Prayers for Peace. And they're beautifully handmade flower mandalas from photographs of flowers from her own garden. We could talk about mandalas, but mandala is a very circular layered image based off of Buddhist art. They carried mandalas on the Silk Road. They were not just beautiful pieces of art, but they were more like engaging tools for your road to enlightenment. It was more about self-realization, and your
meditative tool.
It's a meditative tool and experience that you have between yourself and the divine creator. And eventually I think what you find is the closer to the center of the mandala you get, the closer to the divine creator you are, and it is actually of yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's how it works. And you typically you would toss a mandala. Once you're done this beautiful mandala, you normally destroy it to represent your releasement of attachments. And it's usually very bittersweet because people who create mandalas take it very seriously, and they're very exquisite pieces of art. So the thought of typically the Buddhist monks in Peterborough, they come once a year at the Mariposa Museum, and Linda, that's the name of the artist of the flower mandalas in our shop. Linda is Aaron's mother. She's very close friends with the Mariposa Museum in Peterborough, and they did feature her mandalas in a gallery. And the monks came, and they also created their own mandala on the floor, which you can go do every year. You can watch them create. They spend all week creating a mandala on the floor with seeds and petals and plants and all that, and they spend all week creating this stunning piece, and then they roll it up in the fabric and put it in a lake somewhere and toss it.
Wow.
And then they come back a year later.
Yeah.
What Linda has done is just primarily focus on images of flowers that she's grown, hand cut all the photographed flowers, and then layered them all by hand. So she made over 125 originals of those. And we have about 8 left in our studio that you can come see for yourself. You can see how she hand layered them, how she cut them. And then what we sell are prints of those mandalas. So I have several products that I feature these prints on. A lot of the most popular are the clothing, the hoodies,
Yeah.
I hand selected out of 125 the ones that I thought were the most fun to see, the most fun to look at, the ones that had the best energy. And then I took it upon myself to give them each a mantra, because she called them flowers are the prayers of nature. And I really wanted to integrate my own flair with hers. You know, she's no longer with us. I never met her. So I had the freedom to do that. Aaron gave me his blessing. He has enlightened me, though, and he said that, you know, that would never happen if she were alive. She probably would have been a real control freak, and we probably wouldn't have gotten anywhere. He's like, she was such a control freak that it just would have been a disaster before. So it's good. It's no offense, Linda, but I guess it's good that she's now resting in peace and can let me kind of take over and give it a new spin.
Yeah.
So if you come to the Mystic Market, you'll see one of the mandalas on the wall. I have several of the prints. I have a couple books.
Stickers.
I got stickers and cards, and the books are the ones I'm really excited about.
Coffee mugs. Mm-hmm. Oh, and the books. Yeah.
The books aren't cheap, but they're high quality prints on the inside and up close, and they each have their mantra with them. It has her bio, her mission statement. So that's kind of what, you know, I knew that Aaron's mother's art was in storage. All these framed mandalas were in storage, just sitting in a storage unit. And when I found the mill building...
What a shame, huh?
Well,
that beautiful art just
stored away. We were going to all these art festivals and music festivals, and I finally said to Aaron, I said, you know, people will really like to see these. People will really like to enjoy these. And, you know, he was honest with me. He said, my mother passing away wasn't easy. Seeing her artwork is difficult.
Oh, yeah.
So it took about 3 years for him to, you know what, I think I'm ready. You're right. This studio space would be great. Just get our mandalas out of that yucky storage and at least get them on the walls. And at least get them where people could see them. And I loved being around them. They were probably, you know, I may not give them enough credit for my own recovery. It was a great thing to focus on, a great thing to learn about, great thing to share with people. People, I never get a negative reaction with them. And they do feel like shields. When I would go to these art shows and music festivals, and I'd get anxiety or feel like something bad might happen, I would just look around me, and I'm like surrounded by several beautifully handmade flower mandalas. And I'm like, well, if I'm not safe here, then I don't know where else. If I'm not fulfilling my purpose in this moment, like, you know, then what else am I here to do? So getting her stuff out of storage and into a space where it could be celebrated. Got Aaron's jewelry out in the forefront. Aaron is also very creative and makes jewelry. It's always inspired by nature. So I played off her journal entries. She always said flowers were the prayers of nature. So I was like, okay, that's going to be her studio name. We got the flower mandalas. We got Aaron's jewelry. And then whatever the heck it is I do. I dabble with crystals and beads and wire. And all of a sudden now I'm turning into not just an art studio, but some kind of healing... metaphysical studio, which Lori had to finally just like come out for me. You know, she's like, you're a metaphysical shop. And I'm like, I always knew I had those elements, but I didn't really, when you're working with nature, it's hard not to.
Right.
It's really hard not to.
And I think maybe you had a little bit of a, I don't really want to call it that, because there's a stigma with
I'll be very honest. I didn't want to deal with the drama that would come with having Palo Santo or sage or talking about tarot and meditation. I kind of had an aversion to it at first because I didn't know how far down that rabbit hole I wanted to go.
Right.
Because there's this whole element of, you're a storefront. It's capitalism, exploitation. There's like, I mean, I've had people, and you know what? It found me anyway. It did come knocking at my door. I've had several people tell me that what I'm doing is wrong. And
I've had it too already in my short time being open. I expected that.
If it's not from the spiritual people, you know, the pious, high and mighty, righteous people, I get the people who want to know about where things are sourced and how things are mined, and, you know, making me feel bad because I make resin and it doesn't biodegrade. It's just like, when you walk into a store, you don't typically walk up to the clerk and give them what for, you know, but when you have a spiritual store, people feel like they're allowed to do that, you know. I'm like, well, how about I come to your house? And stand in your home and point out all these things that you've just pointed out in my shop. So there was a level of vulnerability there that I wasn't excited about. But at this point now, I feel like it comes with the territory. You're just going to have to, it's to think that you're not going to be touched by people's criticisms, I guess, no matter what realm you're in.
Right. I think that's just, I don't know, people are weird. People are weird. But I actually had, I don't think I told you this yet. I had a woman come in here.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear it.
And, you know, the typical, like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
So I tell her. Of course, she looks at my altar, which my altar does have an antler rack on it.
Oh, no.
Which was naturally shed.
Of course.
She's like, so you sacrifice animals? And I'm like, I don't know. Do you say that as you're grilling your burger?
Right.
Like, you know, I don't know. It was just a very weird segue. And I was like, no, I don't sacrifice animals. Like, I actually am a dog rescuer. I know, right? At one point in my life, I owned 5 dogs and a cat.
Right.
You know, like, what a weird thing to say. You know, like, no, I don't sacrifice animals. In fact, I advocate for a lot of neglected animals, and I am very involved in a dog rescue, Second Chance Animal Rescue, Puerto Rico. Do I eat animals? I do, but I get them from my local farmer.
I hate that you even have to like explain.
Well, and I don't typically, but you know, I get my food from the local farm.
Yeah.
Trombley Gardens.
Yeah. Trombley.
Yeah, there you go. Shout out Trombley. You know, and I thank my meal when I eat.
Right.
I thank them for giving their life so I can sustain my life, you know.
Well, what was her agenda? Was she like a vegan? Or
I have no idea because I didn't allow her to get that deep into my space. And I said, you know, well, I said, if all you did was come in here to criticize me, I said, there's the door.
Yeah. I
said, we don't all have to mesh, and that's okay.
Right.
But I don't go into your space and preach to you. I expect the same respect. And she said, no, you took it wrong. Like, because I called her out. I didn't just, you know, meekly sit back and take it. Which I can do that because I own this business.
Yes.
So I don't have to
I want to speak to your manager.
Yeah, I am the manager. So you're not getting anywhere with me.
People have some kind of deficiency in their own life where they got to come mess with you. Right. That's just
you know, she said, you know, you took it wrong. I said, well, you know, you accused me of sacrificing animals, so I don't know how else to take that.
Right.
But this is a place of healing. So, you know, if all you did was come in here to criticize, you know, my place of healing, I said, maybe you need one of my services to help you heal.
There you go. That is true.
You know, but
that is actually very true.
So she said, you know, well, thank you for your time. And she left, you know, but it was just a very weird encounter because I never would think to go into anyone's store and be like, so you sacrifice animals? Like, that's the weirdest thing ever.
I tell you what, I go into a lot of boutiques. I go into a lot of gift shops for those reasons that I said in our previous episode. I'm always looking to learn about merchandising, displays, how other shops are doing it.
Yeah.
If I go into a shop and I don't like what I see, I just leave.
Right.
God bless America. I don't have to be in this shop. I don't need to have an agenda to take this person down.
Right.
I can go spend my money somewhere else and say, thank you, have a nice day.
Jesus wept.
Yeah, right. Like, I hope they find success. You know, there's very, 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 very rarely do I go into a store where I'm like offended, because there's usually a sign on the door that tells you what kind of store you're going into.
And again, I'm Gen X. I don't get offended by pretty much anything.
Right.
You know, like, I guess, I don't want to say I don't care, but I don't care enough to go into someone's store and be like, well, that's
right. Usually when you have this experience, it's usually from somebody who's got some kind of agenda, some kind of motive to mess with you. We all know my infamous experience with the woman coming into my store.
Yes.
You know, and so, you know, and in a nutshell, I just had this extremist coming in, and she was some kind of spiritual extremist. I couldn't figure her out, but she definitely messed with me enough where she harassed me to the point where I had to take it to court, and I'm happy to say she's left me alone. But
good. But it's crazy that you
were spooked too. You were with me through that, and that was because when somebody's that obviously mentally ill,
we were hosting an event at your place, and I actually brought mace.
Yes.
Because we were worried she was going to show up.
She was using violent language. Yeah. It sounded very, she called me Jezebel. She told me she was going to throw me to the wolves and have my flesh ripped from my bones.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
She said she was going to smite me. And I know what those words mean. And when you tell someone to please stop and then they don't and they continue to talk to you that way. But
you're the evil one.
Yes. Yeah, I wasn't going to engage at all. I did not engage at all. I tried my best not to. And the best part was that the police report, I'll never forget the police showing up and taking the report and them having, Nordic, she's taking the report, the police officer, she has Nordic tattoos on her fingers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that woman's head's going to spin when she sees those Nordic tattoos. She's going to think it's a pagan conspiracy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I chuckled and, I don't think she's even here anymore in town, but that won't be the last time. No. It's okay.
No. And it's okay. And we know how to deal with it. And,
you just ask for their hair.
Or they're getting flushed down the toilet.
So the pros and cons of owning a store. A lot of cool things that we could probably talk about all day.
Yep. Yep.
But so doing your best to support those small businesses is the best thing you can do. Saying good things through word of mouth. If you can't click, share, or tag, you can at least tell your friends or pop in.
Right.
Make a day of it.
And if we're not your cup of tea, don't badmouth. Just let it go.
Let it go.
Because we're small business owners and we're just trying to make a living.
And we're always evolving. We're always changing.
And we're always growing, evolving, changing. And we are a place of healing. We're not sacrificing animals. We're not worshiping Satan. We're not, painting the walls with blood. We're healing.
Maybe in Samhain.
But we're getting close to the end here, so just support your local businesses, empower each other, have soft ears to listen and an open heart to receive, and an open mind. Learn to grow. We don't. That's the beauty of humans, is we don't all have to agree, and we can still like each other.
Yeah, it's great. Don't let the internet fool you.
You should try it sometime. Right. Get away from Facebook, get away from social media, and actually talk to people, like we used to do.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's the problem.
It's just been a shift in our consciousness with the technology.
But people don't know how to talk to each other because now they have the keyboard protecting them.
I think people are also just a little trying to relearn what's an appropriate conversation.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I don't know. Someone comes in my shop and I'm all bristly and I'm prepared to oh God, this is going to go somewhere I don't want it to go. I got to put my defenses up. Next thing you know, it's like, oh, we're just different. I've had plenty of Christians come in my shop that actually represent the Christian community in a very good light. I have a lot of good Christian friends.
Yeah.
So, we start talking about Jesus and I start to puff up and next thing you know, they're asking me to fix their rosary and what gemstone would be good for it. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to meet in the middle here.
Yeah.
So,
and that's how it should be.
Learn from each other.
Learn from each other, embrace each other's cultures. It's like, we're not appropriating, we're appreciating.
There you go.
And that's the difference, and other cultures, you should be honored someone wants to learn about it and maybe, I don't know if mimic's the right word, learn or practice your culture. That's like a form of, what's the words I want?
Let's say, what do they say? We're at a loss for words here. It's flattering, right? It's the best form of...
Right. They want to learn your culture, and maybe they want to use some of your culture, not to appropriate it, but they're appreciating it.
And share the wisdom. That's what I love about yoga. Yoga is about a practice that you share. Everybody's a teacher. Everybody becomes a teacher of yoga once they start to do the classes.
That's why I consider myself an eclectic, because I am not religious.
Yep.
I'm spiritual. So I take a piece of this, I take a piece of that, I take the pieces that resonate with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there are closed practices, and me personally, this is a whole nother episode.
Yep.
I would never venture into a closed practice.
Yeah.
Unless I was invited to.
That makes sense.
Just because I do want to respect that it's a closed practice.
Yeah.
And just because I can do something doesn't mean I should.
Right.
Just be respectful.
Yes.
Be respectful to your small business owners, to people in general. If we can help create and spread kindness, imagine the world we'd have.
Oh, we're going to need it.
If everyone practiced that. All right, we're signing off. Kate and Lori with Mystic Market and Prayers of Nature. Until next time, live, love, and magic.
Live, love, and magic.
Bye. Welcome to Crones and Coffee with Lori and Kate, a podcast about spirituality. Real, raw, and authentic, and lots of laughs.